There's a fun little feature called the wiggle expression. You can use it to add some randomness to properties. Those properties can be static and just suddenly start moving around a little bit or changing over time just randomly. Or you can apply the wiggle expression to keyframed properties, and those keyframes remain intact, but they behave in kind of a random fashion as they play. So to see how that works, let's go to Working Files and go to After Effects Projects and open up 1503 Wiggle. First up, we're going to work on this star, and then we're going to work on this hummingbird down there. The star is just static. It has no keyframes applied to it. Let's open it up, and we'll take a look at its contents, and down there the polystar and its transform properties. And I want to apply the wiggle expression, first of all, to position. So I need to switch on expressions by holding down the Alt or the Option key and clicking on the toggle animation switch there. There you go. And now I'm just going to type in wiggle, lowercase, open parentheses, and now the first number of 2 will be the frequency of the wiggle, how many times per second. So I'm going to say this guy is going to wiggle 5 times per second. Then the second number is the range of the motion, the range of the position change in terms of pixels. So how much can it go? It doesn't go that distance every time it wiggles, but that's the maximum amount. So we'll say 50 pixels here. Close parentheses, and now I'm going to press the Enter key on the numeric keypad or just click away here to accept that. Now let's just play that. There we go. Wiggles a few times a second there, a maximum range of 50 pixels. Randomly goes, it starts and goes faster, slower, that kind of stuff. I can change that now. Let's say I want it to go 10 times a second. So I just change it to 10. I want the motion to be larger. Let's go 100. Get rid of that 0 in front of it there. And now let's press the Enter key and try that. Whoa, much larger. Let's talk about rotation. Just click on the rotation toggle animation switch, and we'll type in wiggle for it. And we'll go, how much do we want this thing to rotate? We'll say 5 times per second, and let's say 90 degrees. That's pretty significant. That'll be a pretty big wiggle. Press the Enter key, and let's see what we got there. Whoa. Okay, well, I think you get a sense of how that works anyways. We can also do this for scale. Just Alt-click on, or Option-click on Scale, and type in wiggle again. I'll have the scale go 15 times per second. Oh, this is going to be just too wild. I'll have the scale change by 150. Oh, it's going to be a mess. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Are we ready? On your mark, get set, go. Wow. Okay, well, obviously we might want to tone that down at some point. Maybe we shouldn't do that quite so large. Let's go down to just 25. Doesn't make it so crazy. And we can also do this to colors. Let's go up here to Fill and Alt-click on Color. And we'll say Wiggle. Have it go, let's say, 4 times a second. And we'll just say 10. I'm not sure that the number there makes that much difference, but the frequency should. Let's see how this works now. So it randomly selects a color as it does this. So I think there are all kinds of possibilities with that. Let's go over to the hummingbird comp. Hummingbird comp looks like this. I've got this little hummingbird flying across the screen, and the scale and the position are changing. So even though they're keyframed, you can still apply some randomness to this. Let's open up those two guys by pressing the U key to open up things that have keyframes on them like that. And I'm going to Alt-click on the first one here on position, Alt or Option-click. There you go to turn on expressions. I'm going to add wiggle to it, parentheses, and we'll say let's wiggle 5 times a second. Have the position changed by, let's say, 50, and press the Enter key. So now as it goes across the screen, it's going to kind of have a little bit of a movement like a hummingbird might have, if a hummingbird didn't actually flap its wings, but there you go. Let's try the scale while we're at it. So I'll Alt or Option-click on the Scale toggle animation switch. That little thing up at the top there says, you need to finish what you're doing here, so that's fine. We'll do that. Wiggle, and we'll have that thing go, let's say, 5 times a second as well, and we'll have the scale change by, let's say, 25. There we go. Press Enter for that one, and that will accept it, and it gets rid of that funny-looking screen. Let's try that. Here we go. Kind of warps around a little bit like that. Perhaps the 25 is a bit large. Let's knock that down to 15. Don't want to be too extreme there. Let's see how that one works. Great. Pretty cool. So we can use this with things that are keyframed as well. And it doesn't have to be just position, scale, rotation, things like that. It can also be other effects. You can make those effects change randomly over time as well. The one thing that's missing from all this, though, is let's say you want to control the frequency and the amount of the wiggle over time. Have it be, let's say, not much at the beginning and then get larger in the middle and then drop down later. We can do that using what's called expression controls. And I explained that in the next lesson.